Right, so yeah, welcome to tonight's fourth age group all teams meeting. We've put these meetings together to try and help you all to feel a bit more connected, to give you any updates that have taken place recently, um, and to give you like an overview of how age group is progressing through the year. I think that's the best way to describe it. Um, there's a few bits of housekeeping. Everything is correct as of yesterday's date. I haven't checked anything today. So before your races, please double check any timings that we talk about or that pop up so that you can just keep an eye on everything and make sure it's all current. Okay. The meeting is being recorded and afterwards I'll pop it in the little web page we've got for these meetings this year. Okay. Yeah, and just be kind and respectful, which everyone has been so far, and it's been really nice to be actually able to see faces and interact with people rather than just getting emails all the time. Okay, so this didn't actually go quite how I planned it. I wanted it to roll around, and you can see that some of the columns have got squashed, which is incredibly annoying. But I thought I'd do a little roll of honor. Hopefully later in the year, this will be able to cycle around. We'll get some sort of fancy IT going on. But yeah, well done to all these people. These people have medalled. It's not that we're not saying well done to the people that have got to the start line, because just getting to the start line on its own, as you all know, is a feat in itself sometimes. So congratulations to everyone that's achieved a gold, silver or bronze medal this year. Oh, Standard's got its own slide. Unfortunately, we've not got the Pamplona details on yet, but they should be in the next meeting. Okay. So just a quick update about what's happening in age group London at the minute. So Pontevedra is the next big event. We are finalising the start list as we speak. If your name is not on the start list for your race, please contact us by email, okay? And we will chase it up with World Triathlon. There are a few people that are not on there at all that have paid, and there are people that are in what we call the waiting list, waiting to be added to the start list, that have paid as well. So let us know if you're not there. It's going to be a big event. There's a lot of admin to sort through, and I'm sure it will all be completely fine. But as I said, yeah, send us an email to the age group inbox and we can have a look at that query for you. Not sure why I've got entries next close on there. That shouldn't be there because it's closed. Following Pontevedra, we've got the Xterra European Championships, cross tri, cross duathlon. Nirvana booking, they haven't got a specific booking link for you, but if you give them a call, they can already arrange travel, transport, accommodation for you, etc. Istanbul, we're not particularly going to be talking about each individual race. We'll just give an overview, but towards the end of the meeting, if you have got any questions that haven't been answered, please just pop up and ask them. We're here to support you, and that's the whole idea of getting everyone together. Every kind of couple of months or so, we can answer any questions you've got, say sending an email. So Nirvana booking is still open for Istanbul. I've got some Nirvana slides towards the end that we can go through as well. The final entry fees are closing soon, so if you haven't paid, please pay as soon as possible. Have noticed that course maps are not on the race website yet. I'm not honestly sure why that is, but I know that we have seen the course maps, and I think we've popped them on the British Triathlon website under a link. So if anyone needs that, just ask in the Facebook group and someone will share it with you. Okay. We will be putting the Istanbul teams together probably around the start of June, which actually is next week. So if you are injured and you're thinking of withdrawing, just let us know by next week and you should be fine for a refund minus the international race fee. Okay. So long distance duathlon world champs in Zofingen. Nirvana have actually got a event hotel this time. So it's not just British athletes, it's also athletes from around the world, all staying in the same hotel. And if you've done that before, it's actually really nice, really good fun. You get to talk to lots of different people. And you get shuttled to and from the event. So have a look there if you've not booked anything yet. It does save you a lot of hassle, but obviously you can still book your own travel and accommodation. We sent the entry fee link out by email, but if you've entered via the LOC, don't worry. Once we get closer to the event, we'll get a list through from the LOC and World Triathlon. We'll cross compare and sort everything out then. So you don't need to worry if you've already entered. Course maps are on the race website. And entries close on the 30th of May next, which is on Friday. So Challenge Almere, I think registration is now closed for that. And final payment date, I believe, or maybe the entries close on the 27th of June. But that team is almost at its end in terms of the registration stroke qualifying period. Again, Nirvana haven't got a specific package for you, but if you give them a call, they can arrange travel and accommodation for you. If you also go on the Challenge Almere website, there's a link to accommodation near the race as well. So that's might save you a few quid if you're looking to do that. And then finally coming to Wollongong. So the big update for Wollongong is we've finally got the registration, the entry fee deadline, which is the 1st of September. We'll be sending that out by email so everyone knows about it. We're just confirming the details with the relay of how we enter people. And we're just going backwards and forwards with World Triathlon, just trying to get the best fit for our team. Okay. And that's why it is taking quite a while. But course maps and provisional schedule are on the race website. So hopefully if you're going to Wollongong, you are almost all set for that. Moving on to the next one. I thought you'd like to see some stats. So we have put the Roll of Honour up. Have got the numbers for the races in Pamplona. You can see the final team sizes. These are tracking around about where they thought they would be. It's been quite a tricky financial year so far. There's been a lot of ups and downs and currency fluctuation, and that the cost of living has skyrocketed, and insurance has gone up through the roof. So we're quite surprised that the teams are as they are, and I think it's really a sign of how much people want to do age group, which is really lovely that people can go. We'd always expect the European teams to be a bit busier than the world's teams if the European races are close together, because obviously in Europe, and if the world's teams are around the world, we'd expect those to be smaller anyway. We've put the medal tally up there, and I know that there is hopefully a table coming to compare country medals. So if you're a super competitive person and you want Britain to beat everyone in the world, hopefully we'll be able to share that with you at the end of the season, and that will be really interesting. British Championships coming up. I'm sorry if I've missed any Scottish or Welsh ones off, just lack of time on my part. I've only been able to grab the British ones, but we've got Blenheim Palace on the 8th of June, which is also a European qualifier. Middle distance is the 15th of June, the following week at the Lakes Man in the Peak District, and British champion, the Aquathlon champs is Porthcawl, the Aquathlon in Sunday. That will be a sea swim, so if you're a real strong swimmer, that's a really good one for you to aim for. The Blenheim Palace one, the British Championship side of things. So as long as you're a member, which I'd imagine most of you are being in the age group team, by the Wednesday before the event, you will be counted in the British Championships race. If your membership's lapsed and you don't renew it, you won't be counted in the British Championships race, but you can still compete, for the race prizes, etc. Oh, Michael Battersby has dropped. That's happened today then, because I couldn't see it. Very kindly dropped a link in the chat to the Istanbul details and course maps. I could only see the elite map, so maybe they were putting them on yesterday. So that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Michael. And I'll make sure we now finally send that out by email as well. Okay. Yeah, if you do have anything useful like that to add, please do share it. That's why we're all here getting together. European qualifier at Blenheim as well. You need to register before 5 p.m. on the Friday before the race, as per normal. But if you're new to the team and you've not, you're in a multi-sport race where there's no qualifiers, then that's the rules for qualifying. If you miss your registration, then we won't be able to consider your result, and that unfortunately does happen a few times. Okay, so just had another question popped in the chat by Vernon. British Duathlon Champs, so British Sprint Duathlon Championships have happened in March this year. British Standard Distance Duathlon Champs are in October, and I've only gone up to August on this for the British champs. Okay, I haven't gone any further. Lauren, we haven't entered the team, so you won't be on the start list yet for Istanbul, just to answer your chat there. Okay. Right. So, Nirvana can't be here today, but they have asked me to pass an update for you. So it's all on the screen. So the team hotel in Pontevedra is the Galizia Palace in Pontevedra. It's really near the start, and that's where you can find everyone Nirvana based. So there's mechanics, sports massage. Our team managers will be there. I think there's a pop-up bike shop going to be there as well for a few days. So that'll be really useful if you guys are staying there. For everyone who's staying in San Seiso, the main hotel is the Gran Teleso Hotel, and there's a Nirvana bike mechanic in there as well. Okay, so you're not stuck out there on your own. Okay, there are transfers from San Seiso to Pontevedra and back, and I have checked that today and it does say sold out. So if you still need to book a transfer from San Seiso, please contact Nirvana directly, and I'm sure that they'll be able to help with something or advise you something. Okay. Xterra European cross champs, we've already said there's no packages from Nirvana this year, but you can book with them directly. You can always do that for any event as well. It doesn't need to be an age group event. You could do that for Ironman, etc. My little box around. Istanbul, Nirvana packages are open for booking, as most of you probably know that are going. There are going to be, I think we covered this last time. So there's going to be transfers available, and I think they are a bit pricey, but probably worth booking because they'll definitely get you there where you need to be on time. But they're going to go from team hubs in Istanbul. So it might be a little walk from the hotel to the hub, but that's where the pickup points will be. Okay. And they'll have exclusive access over the bridge on race morning. So that's really important to know. All right. You won't be able to walk across the bridge because it is a big bridge. It's not kind of, your little kind of thing that you might get in Bristol. I can't remember what that one's called. It's a massive, massive bridge. All right. You're talking more like the bridge that goes across to Wales from the English side. It's that kind of size, but probably a bit bigger, which is why they want to run the race over it, because it's such an iconic landmark. Okay. Yeah, so you can book your transfers through Nirvana for that. All right. Transfers will get you to the Parade of Nations opening ceremony, bike check-in, rack-in. It includes bike transport, race start, finish, including bike transport and medal ceremony. All right. This isn't the sales pitch for Nirvana. I'm just kind of passing on what they've asked me to pass on to you guys. Okay. Okay, so the next one, Zofingen long distance duathlon, and also Amir, we've already said, sorry, that's wrong. There is Nirvana packages available for Zofingen in the event hotel with the other athletes from around the world. But Almere, there are no direct packages, but you can still book with them as well. And then Wollongong, they've asked me to let you know that they have put some packages for shorter stays, so less nights in Wollongong. So they've got 3, 4, and 5 night stays, if that's what people are looking for. Okay, so they've gone on recently. There are only a few though. They have said that, and I have to pass that on to you. All right. So they said they're close to selling out. There's also accommodation options outside of Wollongong, which includes daily transfers for people looking for a slightly cheaper option. And if you've not booked and sorted everything for Wollongong out already, they're offering a 10-day Australian experience after the races as well. So if you want to take the family as a one-off, kind of holiday of a lifetime, which is what it would be if I was going, you do go around a lot of the iconic landmarks, and that's all arranged for you as well. So something to have a think about there. We've already talked about the deadline to enter Wollongong as the 1st of September, and the mixed team relay was still, as we said, sorting that out with World Triathlon. Okay, I've not looked at the chat for a while. Let's just have a look what we've got in there. Yeah, so your question about the standard swim is 2,200 meters in Istanbul. They said the current is really strong, that's why you're only swimming one way, and that you'll do it in the same time you do 1,500 meters. So yeah, as Lauren said, you'll probably be out in a faster time than normal. So set your watches for PBs on that one. Is there any other questions around races or teams this year? Anyone? Anyone? Any queries, questions, concerns, worries, apart from what we've already talked about? We did send an email out for the Istanbul team, I think it was last week or the week before, with an update from Euro Triathlon. So if we get emails like that, we'll just forward them on to you so that you can see exactly the same information we're getting. Somebody has asked to be sent a link for the Facebook groups. If you could email the age group email address, we can do that for you. Okay. So David, you're looking for a room share for Istanbul. If you contact Nirvana directly, they are looking into that. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't answer that for you. I think if Johnny was here, he probably would be able to, but I'm not able to answer that. Alfred, you can book the Istanbul transfer across the bridge by going to Nirvana website. That's nirvanaeurope.com. And Debs, I don't know. It depends what the water temperature is. Okay. Michael has noticed the maximum qualifying percentages increased from 115 to 120 for 2026. This is not a typo. There has been a change for qualifying for 2026 races and onwards. It's all moving to 120%. And just to explain how that works, it used to be that the world's races were thought to be more prestigious and people would qualify for European races first and then go on to do worlds. Times have changed, people have changed. No one does that anymore, or very few people do that we've asked and talked to. Generally, people will go to a location they want to go to a race they want to do, somewhere where they can make a holiday. They're not really bothered if it's worlds or Europeans. So we've extended the percentage to 120% instead of bringing it down to 115 across all the races. We were finding that the same people were qualifying anyway. And those people that were qualifying with 118, 119% were then bumping themselves up in the following few years. So we've had our statistics analyst guy doing quite a lot of stats over the past year. And this is one of the trends that we've realised. So that's why that's changed. Okay. Right. Andy Peel has a question about top tube storage. You can't discuss it, you just need to look at the rules. Okay. World Triathlon have changed the rules for aero recently. So your top tube box cannot be higher than 10 centimeters and it can't be wider than your top tube. Now, if you're a very short person and then have an extra small bike with a thin top tube, that is a problem. All right. But if you get something that comes with your bike, then that should be fine. Okay. The best thing to do, if you've got a question about the new aero changes and the new rules and stuff, email agegroup@britishtriathlon.org and we can send you the links to where you can find the rules, and that's the best thing to do. Okay. Okay, so I can't see any more questions popping in. I'm not sure if that's answered your question, Andy, but if you can drop us an email, I can 100% send you the links to where to find the information. That's probably going to be a bit easier for you than talking to me on the phone and try and write everything down. Okay. So Hannah's got a really good question. If you're not staying in the Nirvana accommodation for Wollongong, as an example, can you still use the team mechanics joining at the team hub? Yes, absolutely. So wherever you're staying at your race, you don't have to book with Nirvana, but you can still go to the team hotel. You can still book in with the race mechanic. You might need to do that online before the race, or you might be able to turn up and put your name on a sheet. It depends which way they're doing it. So have a check on the Nirvana website to see which way it works. Normally, if there's a massage therapist, we'll pop that in the Facebook group as well. So, so everyone's got access to that information. But yeah, you are very much more than welcome to go along to the team hub and speak to team managers and use the mechanics and chat to other athletes. Okay. Okay, so Nicola's popped a question in, but that's really for, I think, other athletes to answer maybe. You can always ask questions in the Facebook group or you can send them through to us afterwards. We're now going to move on, and I'd like to introduce to you Eve Joseph, Head of Social Impact and Sustainability at British Triathlon, and Lydia Rosling. Do you know Lydia? I'm so sorry. I don't actually know what your job title is.
I'm Southwest Regional Manager, but also I work with Eve in sustainability, and I'll come on to that in a minute.
Thanks. Yep. So over to you guys. I'm really excited that we've still got 96 people on the call, excluding us. So I hope everyone's looking forward to hearing this. I know I've been really looking forward to being able to facilitate the delivery of this part of the meeting, because we've not done this before with age group. So it's great to be able to talk directly to everyone. So yeah, over to you guys.
Amazing. And thank you for the opportunity, Verity. And hello, everyone. It's really nice to see some faces. If anyone wants to pop their camera on, that would be lovely. So yeah, as Verity has just said, so I'm Eve Joseph. I am Head of Social Impact at British Triathlon. I essentially wear two hats. So I wear, I think about our environmental sustainability work, and then I also think about our ED&I. But for today, Verity has kindly offered myself and Lydia an opportunity to talk you through a bit of an update around our sustainability work. Because previous to coming to British Triathlon, I heard that you are very much a environmentally conscious group of people. So I'm very excited to talk to you today a bit about what we've been up to for kind of the last, I'd say, 12 months. I started at triathlon only 18 months ago, so it took me a little bit of a while to get my feet under the table, but we just want to share an update with you. Then we'll move through and ask you a few questions about what you all think about sustainability. So hopefully you've got your phone or your laptop ready, because we're going to head into a bit of an interactive session and ask you a few questions. And then we'll finish just with a few ideas and thoughts about what you or what we can work on together to think about sustainability in triathlon. And if you have questions throughout, please do, as you have been doing already, drop them into the instant message window, or indeed at the end we'll hopefully have some time for some questions so we can answer them then directly. So I think I'm going to kick off, and then Lydia will introduce herself and some of the work she's been doing shortly. So first off, I just want to say that I don't think I need to talk to you all about why climate change and sustainability is important to triathlon. Most of you are experiencing it every single day, whether you're training, whether you're competing. You probably experience it in different ways, depending on the competitions you're doing, the training you're doing, and I guess where you live in the country. So whether it is that you are feeling the heat more, whether you are having events cancelled, whether you live near somewhere where water quality is potentially an issue, whether you cycle a lot near places where the air quality might not be great, I definitely don't need to preach to the converted here about why triathlon cares about sustainability. And to that point, this was one of the very first pieces of information I was shared with when I joined triathlon. And this was around a member survey that happened in 2022. And I have a feeling the majority of you on the call, if you've been age groupers for a little while, were probably people that completed this membership survey. So a big thank you, because without this survey, my job role probably wouldn't exist. And triathlon probably wouldn't be thinking as seriously it is about sustainability, because it was this survey that really showed the organisation that as a group of athletes and a group of sports enthusiasts, triathletes care, and they are expecting us as an organisation and as a federation to work on this space with you and for you. So some of the research that came back from our members, which obviously include age groupers, is that a lot of you are pretty concerned about pollution and the impact of the environment, and also that you actually take action. So I love this piece here on the right hand side, which is that 78% of you engage with sustainability at least once per week. I get to engage with a number of different organizations and their sustainability engagements. And I can safely say that not every sport has that kind of engagement or interest. Some sports struggle to get their fans or their participants to even want to have a conversation about the environment, let alone actually volunteer to take part in some content that's being shared. And also that a lot of you do understand your personal impact on the environment. Now, whether or not that's the impact that you make as a human being just living on the planet, or whether that's the personal impact you have through your sport, either way, we're a pretty active bunch, and therefore we need to take this activity seriously. There are a number of different ways that climate change is affecting our sport at the moment. And a number of those things led the organisation to create a strategy, which some of you may have seen, some of you may have not. So all I'm going to do today is just show you the 3 core pillars that make the strategy. And the other thing I would say is British Triathlon was one of, if not the first NGB to release a sustainability strategy back in October 2023. So we were in a good space. We didn't have all the answers. We still don't have all the answers for what we're going to do in sustainability. But I think that it was a really good opportunity for triathlon to be very fledgling and very pioneering in creating the strategy that we did. So the 3 pillars. The first one is around water and air quality. I'll probably share a bit more about this one later on, but if you were all on camera, I'd probably ask you all to do a show of hands of how many of you have experienced some kind of water quality challenges in your outdoor swimming lives. It's not okay. It's hitting the news as it is, and there is an important voice to be shared with government and with other organisations around people getting into the water for recreation. So I'll share a bit more about that shortly. The second pillar really is around climate action and being net zero. So many of you have probably heard different terms bandied about everywhere. The best thing to think about is that triathlon is aiming and wants to ensure that the impact we have on the environment is net negative, so that we don't have a detrimental effect on the environment that we are training in and that we are competing in. That is essentially the bottom line. We want to ensure that we leave the environment in a better place than it was before, but at least we don't create more mess or create more issues that were there before. There is a UN sport framework that we do sign up to with a few, but not all British NGBs. So again, we're making sure that we're trying to be thought leading, and we're trying to make sure that we strive for, we're a bunch of challengers in triathlon, right? So we're really trying to make sure that we strive to challenge ourselves in this space. So we signed up to a UN framework, and we need to cut our carbon footprint by 50% by 2030. That's my job to try and do with Lydia's help and others. And then by 2040, we're aiming to essentially find that level, find that equilibrium to make sure that we don't put any more carbon into the environment than we take out. And then the final one, which I think is a really interesting one for age groupers, and we'll get onto this a little bit later, is around responsible consumption. So thinking about all the different kit, equipment that we utilize as a sport, how can we ensure that we minimize that as much as possible? How can we look at different organizations that are innovating in this space with plastics, with kit, with apparel? There's some really exciting innovations happening. We want to make sure we're on the front foot, but we also want to make sure that people do take responsibility for how they are competing in triathlon. So they're the 3 pillars. I'd like to think that anything you see that comes from British Triathlon, or the work that we're going to start to do with our community in the future, will fit underneath one of those 3 pillars. And if it doesn't, I would probably argue, why are we doing it? It needs to hit one of those 3 areas to be successful. So some of the questions I get from people within our community is, what does this mean in real life, Eve, when you are our sustainability lead? What are you talking about on your day job and when you're doing all this work? So I thought I'd give you a quick bit of insight. So when I represent triathlon, represent you at different events, I'm talking a lot about human health. I'm talking a lot about water quality, and more increasingly now about heat. So on the left-hand side, some of you will have contributed to this again for us last year. We asked you all where you were swimming. We sent out a quick survey and we said, tell me where you're swimming outdoors, so that it can start educating me and British Triathlon when we have conversations with water companies, with government, with key stakeholders in this space around water quality. So I know where you're all going out, and we can start thinking about interventions to help you. So thank you to everyone that did that. On the left, you'll kind of see the blue map. I'll share a bit more about water quality, but there is now a really good change that is happening in society where, yes, we need to talk about the ecology and the health of rivers, but we also need to acknowledge that people are getting in there for recreational purposes, and the state of the water situation at the moment is not okay. I'm then talking a lot about nature's health, so thinking about biodiversity, non-native species. For those of you that swim in lots of different lakes, I used to live in the Lake District and I used to kind of hop about different lakes. It's really important that we take care of the natural environment that we are jumping in and we are swimming in. So thinking about what you do with your wetsuits and your tri-suits when you're in and out of those water bodies. We talk about that, and also responsible use. When we think about all the different people that are getting into the different water courses across the country, different events that are happening in different spaces, are we thinking about the biodiversity and the ecology of those spaces over time if there are rowing events, paddling events, and swimming events all happening at the same time? And then consumption. So another of these pictures on the left-hand side, you'll see kind of an example of some of the kit that one of our elite athletes will take away with them, say to the Olympics or something like that. It's my job to try and work out what the carbon footprint of all that kit is, and also think about how it gets to us, what it's made of, how much we need. It's quite fun talking to elite athletes about how many t-shirts they actually genuinely need. So thinking about consumption and also the innovations around things like tri-suits and wetsuits, and then how do we make that a much more circular piece of work? So when you start utilizing some tri-suits, some wetsuits, a bike or anything like that, actually what happens when it gets to post life, when you've utilized it to its extreme, you don't fit in it anymore, you don't want to wear it anymore, where can we put that that apparel, and how can we make sure it's either reused or recycled or put somewhere more responsible? And then on the left-hand side, representing essentially and making sure that triathlon is front and center whenever we talk about sustainability. We are a very unique sport. We take part in nature. We are in nature nearly every day. We need to be good custodians of the nature that we are swimming and cycling and running in. For those geeks amongst you, you can look away if you are not. Here is a pie chart. Who doesn't love a pie chart? This is our carbon footprint. There's only one thing, or two things, should I say, I want you to see in this. I want you to see the blue arrow, the blue chunk. That is business travel of our elite athletes and our staff. And the left-hand side is purchase goods and services, which is essentially kit and apparel. We're working at the moment to bring this down to make sure that we have less of a footprint as a sport. So that's just a bit of a headline of the strategy. I'm going to ask Lydia now to talk through what some of the work has been happening internally, and then we'll get on to our interactive piece.
Hi everyone. So as I said before, I am the Southwest Regional Development Manager. However, I'm passionate about sustainability, and so I was really keen to help Eve with the tremendous job that she's got. It's massive. So one person on her own can make so much impact, but we wanted to bring a team in to try and have an even bigger impact. So those pictures are of our sustainability action team. We have got more members, but that was just taken at an event that we were at. And one of our big focuses now is to try and get you and the rest of our members and stakeholders involved so that you can play along as well, because we know that you care, and the more people on board, the more positive action we can take. So these are just a few examples of some of the things that we've been doing over the past year. So the picture on the left is a sustainable kit pitch day. So we collaborated with other national governing bodies to come up with sustainable solutions for the full life cycle of our sports apparel. And if you are interested in sustainability, you might have heard some of the sort of problems that come with being a sport, and all the apparel that sometimes can get wasted. We really want to avoid that in triathlon. So we've come up with some really exciting alternatives. Another day we can go through this in more detail, or you can get in touch with myself or Eve, but I want to get onto the fun interactive bit. So The picture in the middle is my try box. So we ran a pilot where everyone in the office could bring in their unused kit, and we distributed it out to those people who were most in need within the regions. So a couple of examples are children in care, refugees, and areas of deprivation. And the picture on the right is something that we're doing working with event organisers. So we're educating and encouraging event organisers to adopt a more sustainable practices, because again, it's for our members and they care, but it's sometimes not always the easy option. So we're trying to educate them and share great ideas and case studies so that they can work together to have even more sustainable events. So you may or may not have seen this. This is a bit of information for you guys and other members for outdoor swimming. They may or may not be things that you think about already. So before swimming, what to do, during your swim to keep you safe, and after swim. So some of the things that Eve sort of touched on before about washing and drying your kit, it's actually really important, but it might not be something that you think about. So that is on our website. The link is down there on the bottom right, and we'll share it with you afterwards so that you can get more information if you want to after this.
Brill. So it's back to me to give you a 1-minute update on the Alliance before we kind of hand over to you guys. Hopefully you've not been hiding under some rocks and you have seen some of the commentary that's come out from British Triathlon around the Clean Water Sports Alliance. We launched this just over a year ago. It is the most powerful piece of work I think we've done in the last year when it comes to improving the perception of recreational users within water. We have had some great engagement with both government, but also water companies. We've been invited to meetings and engagements that we simply weren't being invited to before because we were small. We were triathlon, we were paddle, we were RYA, we were just one organisation. Now we've come together as a large group that represents over 500,000 members and about 3 million participants each year. All of a sudden, government ministers and others are starting to listen to us. So I would just keep your eye on our website, our news channels, and also our social media, where I try and update as much as I can about what the Alliance is doing. Some things happen behind the scenes, but I do try and share as much as is humanly possible. So, for example, in the coming weeks, there is going to be a Water UK-led meeting with a number of sports recreational organisations with the water companies, where we're going to try and represent our issues and our challenges, and hopefully that wonderful map that I shared you earlier will also be shared so we can be a bit clearer with water companies about where they need to spend their time and their investment. Okay, so we're going to try some tech now. We hope you're all ready for what's going to happen next. We would love to hear from you. So we've got about 5 or 6 questions to work through with you. For those of you that are still live and with us, can you please take a picture of what's on the screen right now? There's a QR code. You can use your phone. If you are on your laptop, you can copy the website on the right-hand side and put in the code. Some of you may have used Menti before. And Lydia is just going to walk us through 5 or 6 questions, and we'll be able to see the results live on screen as we go through. The reason we want to see this is we want to know from you how we can help you more as a community. Are there topics you want us to cover? Are there things you want us to do? And how do we talk to you more effectively about this topic? So whilst I just put this information into the IM window, you'll probably see here, I'll just ask as many of you to join as you can. Give me 1 second. If you have any problems accessing it, can you please either just drop a note in the IM window and we'll go from there. I just hope.
So
Here
sorry.
we go. No, I'm going for it.
So the first question that you should be able to see is, what is the main action you're taking right now to be more eco-friendly in triathlon? So we want you to type a word for our word cloud. So hopefully some of you are seeing that now.
People are in. This is great. Here we go.
Oh, brilliant.
This is brilliant.
Commuting by bike, love that. Recycling, walking, buying minimal amount of kit. Wow, you guys are doing loads already. That's great.
Handing back my swim hat. This is a really good one. Not all events do that because they don't necessarily give you the box to wash it and then be reused, but I like that idea.
No new bike. Yep, saving money and saving the planet. Brilliant. We'll just give that a couple more minutes in case anyone else wants to log in. Do shout if you're having trouble logging in and you want us to help.
Okay.
No medals or t-shirts. Yeah, lots of event organizers are doing that now. Okay, so question number 2. What is the top challenge for triathletes making sustainable choices? So if you drag and drop these, you can rank them in order. Number 1 being the hardest.
Sorry, this one is a little bit fiddly if you're using a phone, but I'm super intrigued to see what you all think.
Okay. Can't see if anyone's on number 2 yet.
Here we
Oh,
go.
yeah, here we go.
It's travel. International, yeah. It's oh, single-use nutrition's just made a way up.
Yeah, traveling to events, international. It's a hard balancing act, isn't it? Because you are all such great athletes and this is what you work towards. But there are definitely things that we can do.
We're all currently praying to the sustainable aviation fuel gods at the moment. So if anyone wants to join with that, you can join in. Just so as people put this vote in, again, when I speak to others in the sport industry in this space, the travel is specifically international travel and using flights is a challenge. I think for triathlon, we have a different challenge in that for some, they don't have to carry as many pieces of equipment. And where their events happen, if they're a football or their rugby or their cricket, they tend to happen in a city centre. So it's also things like that to think about. Like if we think about what's going to happen with LA, where the location is for that on Venice Beach, it's not just about flying to the city, it's about getting all the kit across the city. We tend to use cars, we tend to use vans. Like triathlon's pretty unique in that space as well, in terms of where they're happening. We're at about
Yeah.
50%, so we'll give it another couple. If we can get up to 30, that would be fab. Yes, we're at 30.
Great. So moving on to the next question. We want to hear about this topic. Oh, how do you want to hear about this topic from British Triathlon? So you can pick up to 3. And we know communication is something that we really want to get right, but it's not easy to reach the right people at the right time. And lots of people get bombarded. So it's great to get your feedback on how you want to hear from us. I love these flying dots.
Basically, it looks like we need to get really good at PR, Lydia, and start writing more news articles. But it's really good to know it's really good to know that that is where you'll find, because we try to do some long form articles as well, specifically around the Clean Water Sports Alliance. So it's good to know that's valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the two people that have put something else we haven't thought of, can you type in the IM window what we haven't thought of in the Zoom screen? Oh, one more and we get to that magic 30. Email. I guess I see membership magazine as email because we email that to you, but thanks, Steve, for sharing. We'll have a think about that. Because I did think about sending a sustainability newsletter out. If you think that's a good idea, can you like Steve's email comment just to warrant how many people think an email newsletter might be valuable? Okay, we've got 1, 3.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to go over to the next one. Social media. I'm going Instagram, Twitter. I'm assuming there.
yeah, we're seeing those comments coming in on the chat, so keep them coming. Thank you. So the next question, what do you need help with? So you can pick up to 8 on this, 8 points that you think are important.
This one might take a little while to complete, so
it's really valuable for us to have your feedback. So thanks so much for taking the time to do this.
The water quality testing one's obviously interesting in terms of citizen science. So while you're all filling this in, some rowers, some paddlers, they've clubbed together with some local organisations to do some citizen science testing to kind of add data to what the Environment Agency are doing. I haven't seen many triathletes do that. So I'd be intrigued if anyone wanted to start doing that. Obviously, sustainability travel choices for events.
Yeah.
That's going to be for domestic. Wonder if we could do anything around the train system, but again, it's where most of our events are, is a challenge. What else is high? How to recycle equipment. That's good to know. Verity has actually started some work on that for us to share with you all. Like, where can we take stuff? What can we do with it? Where does it go once you donate it? What can we do with old inner tubes? There is, Verity, can you put a link into a couple of the places that you found that do that? I think there's a couple of places that you've found where you can send old inner tubes.
Not to the chat, but I can in the email that's going to come out with a link to this video.
Brilliant.
Do you want me to pick up a couple of questions in there, Eve, or do you want to carry on?
Yeah, go for, wow, I think we've got one more question after this one and then
go for the question, and we'll pick up the other questions at the end.
sounds good. Okay, so this is just a final capture before we just open up to any questions for the last kind of 8-10 minutes is, are you already a voice for sustainability in triathlon? And are you doing some great work in your space with your club, with your community, with any event organizers that you're working with? We'd love to work with you and talk to you. So if you're interested, and I realize I'm reading this out, Lydia, and that should have been you. Please do share your details. Your email address will not come up on the screen. It is anonymous. Lydia, I'll hand back to you. Apologies.
No, I'm just enjoying the comments coming in on the chat. We've got some great ideas. So make your inner tubes into swim bands and share them with your teammates. Yeah, personally, I use some old inner tubes to tie up the bikes in the back of the van to keep them steady. But also there are great charities that would repair them, puncture repair and use them. So you might not feel comfortable racing if it's had a puncture, but other places probably would use them. And the great thing is that at British Triathlon, you see it from a sort of high level performance level, but we are working with many charities across the country. So a lot of them are doing bike workshops and giving out bikes to those in need, so sort of repairing them. So there are definitely places that would use any kit that you thought was not usable. Someone else would probably think it was really, really great to have. Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Hopefully we've got some of your emails as well, that we can get back in touch with you after. So has anyone got any questions off the back of that? Feel free to come off mute if you want to, or carry on using the chat. And Verity, you said you were going to answer some of the questions, so please feel free to go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. So tri-suits, new tri-suits every year. I knew this one would come up, and 100% understand why you guys are asking it. And I've been in the team 4 times, and I've got 3 different tri-suits, so I'm with you. All right. To produce a team tri-suit of the quality that our team expects is very expensive. There's a number of different options, different sizes. It's an expensive thing to set up with the printing, with the factory, to get the samples, to sort out the printing for names and logos and sponsors. So the business model is that it changes every few years. And at the minute, we're stuck with it. Okay. We know it's not sustainable to do that, but the tri-suits have been lasting 5 years. Now, my personal tri-suits last about 2 or 3 years before some kind of elastic goes somewhere and they're inappropriate to wear. All right, so I don't know if that's because I buy cheap ones or more expensive ones last longer, but that's the reason that the tri-suits change, is simply we have to be able to provide a team tri-suit or a selection of which people ask for, different types like the O-back, the sleeveless, the non-sleeve, the 2-piece. More expensive, you've got more expensive research that goes into them, and there's a price, and that unfortunately is what we have to do, is change them every now and again. Whether that will change in the future, I don't know. Eve, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm just going to add from a different perspective of thinking about carbon footprinting when you all look at the tri-suits. From a pure carbon perspective, if you're literally looking at your footprint, the tri-suits aren't the most significant contributor. If we look at the bikes and how they're made and where a lot of the materials come for bikes, when we look at travel, when we look at wetsuits and a lot of neoprene, if you think about the energy that needs to go into creating a wetsuit versus a tri-suit, it's something that, yes, may change in the future. Neither Verity, Lydia, or I can say that, but I want you all to think that you don't need to leave this meeting thinking all I need to do is reduce the number of tri-suits I use, because that's something that we as BTF want to try and manage with Hoob and with UKSI. So we've been looking at different materials that can come into performance gear. At the moment, it uses a lot of virgin materials. It's a bit like sustainable aviation fuel. We on this call can't do anything about sustainable aviation fuel and performance-based kit, but we can absolutely influence the organizations that are working on it. So I would just give that from a kind of sustainability carbon perspective.
Thanks, Eve. So just to pick up another one that has gone further up the list. Louise, you've mentioned, why don't we have a European champs in the UK? The reason is cost. So I think we'd be looking at 350 to 400,000 to put an event on before we've even took any entry fees. Okay, so the entry fees and the sponsorship would need to pay for the event, and it would have to be the European multi-sport champs with sprint and standard tri tucked on at the other weekend, either side of it. It just wouldn't be possible to pay for it. Okay, there's all kinds of fees we'd have to pay for Europe Triathlon. We have to bring technical officials over. We have to have an event so far away from an airport with water that is going to be clean to race in and safe, that's going to be warm enough. You put all this stuff into the mix and it simply comes down to cost. Okay, there's cost for closing the roads. We've got a higher event, got to provide medals or some kind of token of some kind. So at the minute, it's not really on the table for us to have an event. What is interesting is that there was an event in France last year and a lot of people drove there. Some of the events in Spain this year, people are getting the train, the ferry, and they're driving. So there are ways around traveling into Europe to avoid flying, if you want to try and do that. Helen French, so how come Pamplona put an event on? I don't quite follow what you mean. Maybe you want to send me an email with that question and I can answer it that way. Yeah, so that's my answer with that one. Okay.
And I think I'll just add to that as well in terms of European travel. We're speaking to Nirvana. I've had meetings with Johnny around trying to encourage and share with you more train-based travel across Europe. So if any of you do use Nirvana for a lot of the trips that you go to, ask them for train-based travel until we start asking and start changing the narrative that we are happy to get trains. It's not going to become the norm. So that was the other thing I would say around behavior is we need to start pushing a lot of these suppliers that we work with. So I'm working with Nirvana and Hoob, and I think I've put that somewhere, that we are working with our providers to try and present more sustainable offers through products and through services. It's not going to happen overnight. We're at the beginning of a journey here, right? But if the desire comes from our communities like yourselves, our providers will have no choice but to put those offers in. I'm just conscious of time. We're probably going to overrun for 1 or 2 minutes, if that's okay for people that are on the call. We'll continue answering questions in the IM window, but we just wanted to close on this very brief slide. If you are interested in, and it came up in the first one around kit recycling opportunities, there's an organization called Kit Revolution. And I've just put a quick screenshot on here where think of it as an eBay or a Vinted, but for sports kit. And we are really, Lydia and I would love to work with the community on building triathlon clubs and triathlon communities on this platform. So you can buy, sell, and most excitingly, swap kit with other people. And I've just got this really exciting concept of someone having a bike and someone having a wetsuit, and you don't have to pay for it. You can literally just swap. If you are interested in, if you are part of a club or part of a community, or you have a small triathlon training group and you're interested in piloting that with us, can you please sign up either through the QR code on the screen, or Verity's going to send it afterwards and let us know. And we will be in touch with you over the summer as we try and build what that platform looks like, because we know there's a lot of kit out there that once you've used it, whether it's a GB tri-suit, or whether it's wetsuits, or whether it's just t-shirts or cycling jerseys, we want to give you all an opportunity to try and put that on a platform so other people can use it. So that's mega exciting. The second one is the Clean Water Sports Alliance. Have a think about how you could engage with a local rowing club, a local paddle club, a scuba club, and bring some advocacy and activity within your region. If you don't know where to start, again, get in touch with me or Lydia. We are happy to try and explore different pockets of age groupers, perhaps around the UK, that want to get involved in this and kind of start being advocates for clean water in your local region. So just think about the Clean Water Sports Alliance is as much yours as it is the NGB's. So please do have a think about if you want to be involved, and if you have any fun ideas, Lydia and I are all ears. And then I'm going to leave the last one with Lydia, who's got some really interesting thoughts about what we can all do as triathletes, specifically around our behaviour.
Yeah, so you did come up with some great ideas of your own that you're already doing, which is amazing. But as an age grouper, other athletes will look up to you, believe it or not. I don't know if you do, but you really can lead by example. If you start to talk about and demonstrate sustainable practices, other athletes will definitely aspire to be like you and do the same. And you can recycle your wetsuits. Even I have
come back
come
a bit
across
earlier.
some great
It's like 9:45. Please, and don't ring me at 9:45.
we've come across some really cool ways and innovative ways that people are recycling their wetsuits, and it is more than just mouse mats. So do get in touch with us before you throw away any kit, because we might have some cool ideas. I saw that some people were changing the way that they were commuting, so trying to use that as a way of exercising, and we fully support you to do that. So if you are commuting to work on your bike, for example, just make sure that that is written down in your training plan, and that will then be covered by your British Triathlon insurance. I know that Verity uses greener products to wash her bike, so she uses some bio cleaners, which is just far, far better for the environment. So just think about things before you purchase them. And then car sharing, I know it's an obvious one, but it is an extra step that you need to take, but it can have some great outcomes. So yeah, just speak to your friends and people on this group. If you do live in a similar area and you're traveling to the same event, it really reduces your carbon footprint massively to have more people in your car than just yourself. So make the most of it, and it can be a really great way to make new friends as well. So there's loads of ideas, and we will continue to share them with you because, yeah, by the chat, there's clearly people who are interested, and we know from feedback before. So I think if we carry on sharing ideas and you share your ideas with us, then hopefully we can just progress in the right direction. So thank you so much for your time today.
Brilliant. Unless there are any other final questions or thoughts that anyone wants to share, I guess we'll just hand back to Verity. Sorry we overran by 5 minutes, but incredible that so many of you have stayed to listen to us. We are super chuffed to have you as a community in our armoury as we try and tackle this monumental task of decarbonising triathlon.